Two, three. On today's show, we will dive into how one of the world's largest delivery companies, UPS, leveraged cutting edge AI to optimize their operations and ensure millions of packages reach their destinations on time and in the most efficient way possible. I'm Daniel,
Matheus.
and this is the Human AI Experience. We'll be right back. So, basically, every day, UPS seamlessly handles the delivery of nearly 25 million packets and documents, right? While the process seemed quite straightforward, under the hood, there's a cutting edge AI, predictive AI that guarantees that operation is optimized and cost effective, right? So, one of the key components of this system, which is called ORION system, on road integrated optimization and navigation. So basically, this AI tool analyzes historical data and real-time inputs to determine the most efficient delivery routes for drivers. And by optimizing these routes, they can reduce delivery times and also minimizing uh, fuel consumption, which obviously contributes to their sustainability efforts. Like we discussed in previous episodes, this is a good example how you can leverage AI to drive both business success and bring some positive environmental impact. Even though I think their trucks are still running on fuel, they're not electric and so on. But it's a good start, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a good start, but it's more marketing than actually reducing the impact. But it's interesting anyway, like how they are using less fuel. That's important.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple concept, right? Basically, they're running AI to optimize delivery routes, but there's a lot of complexity behind it. And that's where AI really shines. So think about an algorithm that is basically processing tons of data to find the most efficient way to get these packages delivered, right? And it needs to factor different variables like traffic, weather, and driver preferences. So the system basically helped reduce mileage,
Mhm.
100 million mileage annually,
Wow.
leading to a significant cost savings and lower carbon emissions.
I have seen, like, I don't know if it's UPS or FedEx, but they allow it. In the US, if you take the right lane on the cars, you can just go to a corner and then go right. So they don't need to wait for the traffic lights to be green. So they were spending less time to delivery and less fuel and all the things. So they were doing all the routes based on that. So maybe that this software is just optimizing that too. So there's another way of diminishing all the impact and making more efficient the deliveries.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's taking that into account. And it's true. If you can plan the route with less traffic lights or time it in a way that you don't have to stop that much, then it also optimizes the whole traffic, right? But basically, this, yeah,
If I think Waze, the technology of Waze uses a similar system, and I was seeing that for you to understand what is the best route, you need to make thousands or maybe millions of calculations because there's the main route and then all the possible roads that you can take. So this is a really powerful machine, to run all these calculations quickly and give you the route in seconds, less than seconds actually. It's basically instantaneously. You just put the route and then give you the best way.
yeah, there's a lot of predictive AI or some sort of machine learning, because basically machine learning, when we talk about algorithms, it's basically machine learning, a machine learning system or model running these predictions and analyzing huge chunks of data.
Yeah.
And so this system was actually crucial, especially during the pandemic for them, because the pandemic disrupted everything, and they needed to be able to predict and respond to changes in shipping volume and delivery requirements to be able to meet customer expectations and also remain relevant. So the moment everybody was stuck in at home during the pandemic, in the beginning, of course, nobody probably there was a in the beginning there was less, nobody knew what was going on, so people ordered less. But right after that, there was a surge in orders online, so everybody was trapped at their in your home with a lot of money to spend, because you're not spending on other things outside of your home. Then you're turning to online shopping, and there was like a huge surge in online shopping, and that kind of like really put some stress into their predictions. But at the same time, it's highly adaptable, so they managed to adjust. And if they didn't have this system running back then, it would be chaos.
I think it's pretty much interesting, like how the pandemic pushed this technology to be running, and it's pretty much interesting to see. For example, if you bought it something on Amazon, you can track, the truck or the car that is delivering, and then you can see that the person is like doing some weird routes, but of course they are stopping at some points because they're delivering other packages. So probably they understand all the packages in a route, and then you have the most efficient route. For me, it's really impressive, the technology, because there's so many variants, and it's a complex system.
Yeah, it's insane. But I think, considering this level of complexity, so in a similar fashion, airline companies have been operating like that for some years, especially making sure they can operate it with lower costs. But when the pandemic hit, they didn't have enough data to effectively predict flights, and that's why they had huge losses. But even when the after the pandemic, when the world reopened, they were still messing their algorithms. So I think it's only right now, or only this year, that a lot of the airline companies managed to reach the same level of journeys and predictability they had before the pandemic. Um, and there's a lot of speculations that now, because of that, they will be able to lower the costs a bit, because right after the pandemic, they had to compensate, because a lot of those companies suffered huge losses, so they needed to increase their rates and everything. Flying got a lot more expensive during this period of time.
I think it's crazy how they suffer, and actually because of so many regulations, they kind of operate in the minimum revenue, so it's super complicated to fulfill all the flights, and then plus the fuel costs and the tripulation costs and every costs around the flight companies. So I know that it's a bit complicated. It's a math that is super complicated.
Yeah, that's why they're running the systems, right? This AI machine learning algorithms, that because they can process and predict quite well the outcome, and they can generate this a lot of possible scenarios extremely fast.
Danny, can you talk a little bit about the case of the planes of Boeing?
And the engine, right? It was a lot heavier, and then that will cause the plane to fall, because it's the counterweight was wrong. So the algorithm, or the system would correct, artificially correct the line of the plane. But the
Yeah,
problem with Boeing is that they wanted to save on manufacturer costs. They, instead of putting two sensors that will identify what is the inclination of the plane, they only put it one. And if that sensor was broken,
yeah,
then the plane had no way of analyzing how um, the plane had no way of analyzing the angle. So
the
that what
stability.
that was caused those two plane accidents in Malaysia, I guess, and that terrible decision uh, made the FAA, the airline regulator in the US, to ground all the planes, all those plane models, and then I think stayed almost a year, all of them going to maintenance, and then they had to update the software and so on.
This was another algorithm or machine learning that the companies were using, so that's interesting to exemplify how it's already been used in the flights and in other industries.
Yeah, definitely. But just to wrap up the whole UPS discussion, the volume of data has been increasing in a crazy pace, and with a growing amount of available data points, robust AI models will have to ensure that logistics companies can meet customer needs, make improvements across the supply chain network, and address any global shifts, whether due to natural disasters, pandemics, or other unforeseen shocks to the supply chain. In the logistics industry, AI will definitely play a critical role in sustainability efforts, as there will be an increased focus on environmental impact with lower emission vehicles, alternative fuels, and more. So UPS has a mission of having 40% of ground operations using alternative fuels by 2025, so next year, and being completely carbon neutral by 2050. So they are using AI and machine learning algorithms to achieve this mission. So that's their goal. Whether
Yeah,
they're going to
that's
get there, that's a whole nother conversation.
yeah. I think it's a hard conversation because if you think about the whole logistics, the transportation issues, it has a major impact. When you put like a we have a lot of ships going all over the world, like delivering and transporting goods. So that's part of the bigger picture of sustainability that needs to be increased and changed. And of course, the same if you put a lot of cars. So if you put a ship, you transport like 20 times more than a truck. So or even more than that, might be 200 from a
I
ship.
think it's 200 times
Yeah,
because you can stack a lot of containers in ships, right?
yeah. So the things that this kind of transportation, they are more sustainable, but at the same time, if you bring a lot of stuff from China, for example, and bring it to Brazil, that it's the opposite side of the world, how much emissions do you get in all of this? How much fuel do you use it? Is it efficient to send it? Do you send it back full of stuff, or do you send it back empty ships? So how these logistic issues, I think that's something that we need to keep in mind and reflect about sustainability. And I really hope they put some effort, and I feel that it's interesting that they are thinking about alternative fuels. Hopefully they will find like greener fuels.
This address a little bit what you mentioned in some other episodes and on how AI can actually help achieve a more sustainable world by improving this logistics. It's one way.
Yeah,
Cool.
definitely.
We just wanted to give you a little bit of an idea on how machine learning has been used in logistics in the logistics industry. So we reached the end of our episode. If you're interested in AI evolution and how you can use it, subscribe to our podcast and follow us for more. If you have any questions for us, you can reach out to us at hello@humanaixp.com or connect with us on Instagram at hello humanAIXP. Thanks for listening. See you next week.